Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Demon. This is The Fan Show. Happy Tuesday to all of you. I hope that the weekend treated you well. It was quite the weekend. Specifically Sunday, it was Championship Sunday, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There was an earthquake in Alaska earlier this morning, 8.2 or 7.9, something like that. And I do have friends up in Alaska, Logan, his lovely wife Barbara, and their son Jameson, but they are all safe and sound, which is always good to hear. So everyone else in Alaska, hope everything is okay. But yeah, man, crazy stuff like that, right? And I believe there was a school shooting as well. But we don't like to talk, the negative here. We try to keep it light and upbeat, so we're going to press forward, press on, and recap the weekend that was, as well as Monday night. Last night was the big Raw 25. My thoughts on that. So without further ado or any more delay, let's go ahead and hit the headlines. The stage is set. Super Bowl 52 will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but it will not be the first time in NFL history that the home team hosts the Super Bowl. So, Vikings, yeah. I feel like we could talk about this game easier than the other one because this was a blowout. It really was. And I'm saddened by that because the NFC, in my opinion, was the conference that had the more battle-tested teams, right? I mean, if you look at from start to finish, you had teams like Seattle in there who were in the mix all the way until the very end, and then it was just too much to overcome. I don't know, too many key losses earlier in the season that came back to bite them. The Rams, so dominant on the offense, right? Sean McVay, new head coach, breathing new life into this team, a team that Jeff Fisher built, which I still stand by my statement that last year they were a playoff team too. They just got hurt, too many injuries to overcome. This year, they've got Sean McVay, and that offense was clicking, man. I mean, it was firing on all cylinders. You have the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers, all three in the NFC South, and you didn't know who was going to win that division until the last week. Carolina, they could put it on the scoreboard if they needed to, and then other weeks they were just kind of off. And the Saints, man, from starting out the way that they did, including a loss to the Patriots, they really came back and showed people that they still got something there in New Orleans, specifically a run game now. Then you had the Eagles, who were, they weren't the last undefeated team, but they went on that amazing run, right, where it was just win after win after win. And then Carson Wentz gets hurt, and you're like, oh, no, there goes that. And then you also had the Packers, who looked like they were going to be in it. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. And then the 49ers, who get Garoppolo. And I don't know what to say really about the Cowboys or the Redskins. They were kind of in it. They were, of the teams that were eliminated before the last few pieces of the puzzle were placed, they were eliminated earlier than, of course, Seattle and a few others. But, oh, man, Detroit even kind of in the mix. But the NFC, to me, just seemed like it was the more battle-tested and ready conference. And if you looked just at the conference championship, you would not take that feeling away from that game. You wouldn't. There's no way to. I mean, let's be real here. Conference championship final, 38-7. That's right, 38-7. Philadelphia over Minnesota. This coming a week after Minnesota goes toe-to-toe with Drew Brees and the Saints. They kick and make a field goal to give them a lead with a minute and some change left. Drew Brees drives it down the field, and Will Lutz with a kick of his own for what seemed like the dagger to the heart. And then you've got 30 seconds left on the clock in Minneapolis. Case Keenum, the quarterback who's really becoming the new Kirk Cousins of the league right now. He was a backup, and then when the other guy got hurt, they sat him, or they started him, and then the other guy, Bradford, healed up, and then he sucked, and then Case Keenum came back into the fold. So here's a guy out there who led the Rams through a majority of their season last year, knowing that Jared Goff was breathing down his neck. And now he's on a team where Teddy Bridgewater is out. When is he going to come back? Bradford did very well for himself last year and in the first couple of weeks before the injury for Minnesota. So where is this guy's role? Where does he fit into this picture? So you have him, that story. You're 2 wins away from being the first team in history to host a Super Bowl. And you've got 30 seconds left on the clock after Drew Brees just drove it right down your throat and let their kicker take the lead once again after coming back from, down 17 points at the half? And you throw with 10 seconds left a walk-off touchdown to Stephon Diggs. I mean, you can't script this stuff any better. You really can't. Any better, and it would probably be a Disney movie. This will probably end up being some kind of Disney movie. I kind of hope the Vikings are next year's All or Nothing. Even though I know the end, I think just to see their season in that moment would be great. So here you have that team. They now have to go on the road. 1 win, they're right back home for the Super Bowl, right? A team that the franchise, the fans, they've only known misery and heartache, and they got something to celebrate and be fans about again against the Saints. And they scored 7 points against Philly. Now, okay, I'm not taking anything away from Philly. I do think that something was missing from Minnesota Sunday. I do. Something wasn't there. Magic? Focus? I don't know. Call it what you will. Minnesota was missing something, but I'm not taking anything away from Philadelphia because, 38 points. Okay, if this was 10-7, then yeah, I'd say, Minnesota just didn't quite have it that day. But this was 38-7, and whatever Minnesota was lacking, Philly made up for. I mean, my God. Philly just put the pedal to the floor and never looked back. So congratulations, the Philadelphia Eagles will represent the NFC in Minneapolis. That's got to kind of sting coming so close, and now the team that just embarrassed you on national television is the one that will be in your house representing your conference. But both franchises don't know what it's like to win a Super Bowl. So really, it's kind of a win-win for the NFC as far as either team was going to get another shot at winning one. Now, they have to go through the the AFC opponent to do that. But going into this weekend, 3 of the remaining 4 teams had not won a Super Bowl. You have to like the odds there of the never have I ever teams. And I'm a sucker for that. I really am. I love the underdogs, which the Philly, the Eagles, they have ridden that mantra all postseason long, and it's done them very well. So well that the NFL has decided that they would like to cash in on the underdog thing, and Chris Long is not having it. I love it. But Philly and Minnesota was a prime example of what can happen when you're just off for one game, and that one game happened to be the game that whoever won it was going to the Super Bowl. So it's very unfortunate circumstances and events. But the reality of things is that I had wholeheartedly believed going into this postseason that the NFC teams were the more battle-tested teams because of the back and forth and the momentum swings that you had seen go on all season long. I mean, you had so many teams in the playoff picture up until the last probably 4 weeks of the season, where on the AFC side, you knew who was going like with 8 weeks left. It was ridiculous. So I still believe that, but I think that the NFC conference or the NFC title game is a misrepresentation of that feeling that I had all season. I still think the NFC is and has been the better conference. AFC's just happened to have been more consistent, which let's flip it over to the other side. The New England Patriots over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 24-20. Are going to their 10th Super Bowl. Tom Brady has a chance to put number 6 in his trophy case, or on his, you can start putting him on his left hand now, I guess, or however he does the whole ring thing. This game was great, and I wasn't expecting a great game, but it really was. And I think Jacksonville played the Patriots as tough as any team can play them without winning. And what I mean by that is, of course, you've seen the 2 stories with Eli, Coughlin, and the Giants, and how those ended. Those teams played the Patriots the toughest that they've ever been played, and they won, okay? Jacksonville, I believe, played them the toughest that a team could play them without winning. And I know people are thinking, well, what about Atlanta last year and how they had such a huge lead on them, or Seattle, a few years prior to that, and they just, they made that stupid play call from the 1-yard line. I understand those. I really do, because I thought about it too. I was like, is there a team that's played the Patriots tougher and still got defeated in the end? And I thought about both of those games, both Super Bowls. The thing to me about Jacksonville that separates it from both of those teams is that it wasn't a fourth quarter collapse, or it wasn't a one bad call at the end of the game. It was a 4-minute kind of, I don't know if I'd say a collapse or what, but this team had the lead. They had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter against the Patriots. And I know that everybody, it looked like it was going to end up being 28-3 at some point in this game. And I'm like, oh my God, we've seen this before. But with Atlanta, that was a whole quarter and some change of a team that just, I don't know what the hell you call it other than a collapse. Play calling on the offense, Patriots getting lucky with Edelman catches and whatnot, and lucky breaks on turnovers at the end. I mean, everything that a team would need to go their way in order to come from behind like that went the Patriots' way, okay? With the Seattle Super Bowl, they had the lead. All they had to do was hold Seattle off long enough to get the win. And so here, Russell Wilson and company marches it down the field. They're on the 1. You're like, oh my God, they're going to give it to Marshawn Lynch, come from behind, and give Brady like next to nothing to work with here to drive it down the field. Now, we don't know what would have happened if he would have had the ball and had to drive it down the field. He could have worked his Brady magic, but that Seattle defense is nothing to think that that's, any easy task. Okay, we know this. But so here, instead of handing it off, they throw it, they get the interception. Tom Brady's ecstatic on the sideline. Patriots can breathe a sigh of relief. We got the ball back. We're going to hold them off and win. For this, the Patriots were down the entire game. The only lead that they had was when they won the game. 24-20. Amendola was phenomenal. Nothing can be taken away from that last drive, with the exception of, I feel like there were 2 very obvious missed holding calls that, if they weren't held, probably would have ended up in sacks, if not strip sacks, on Brady, because one was where the offensive lineman is right behind Brady. You can't zoom in enough without seeing this guy and the defender and a big handful of sleeve. And if he gets called for that, you don't have that big play. And I think that was the flea flicker that kind of kept the drive alive, and they went down and they scored that touchdown. But for them to be able to be down 3 3/4 of gameplay and come back in the final, 6 minutes of the game? That, to me, is Jacksonville playing the Patriots the toughest that any team has played them without actually winning. So that's what I mean when I say by that. And I don't think that the Jaguars have anything to really hang their heads about, especially Blake Bortles. He had no turnovers. He played lights out, but they got so conservative on the play calling there in the end that you just really wonder, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I don't know how you give it back to Brady with that much time, especially when you get that strip near the sideline. You recover it. And this looked like it was going to change the game. Like this was going to go Jacksonville's way. Like all they needed was that one turnover. They've had that great defense. You get that turnover. I thought it was game over at this point. I really did. And I know I should know better. I do. But it just seemed like this was one of those moments that you were going to look back on and be like, that was when everything changed. Right there. And it wasn't. I don't really think that there is necessarily a moment. You can say that there was a few missed calls keeping the Patriots' offensive drive alive that maybe changed it. But in the reality of things, Jacksonville just gave Tom Brady and Bill Belichick too much time. And I don't hate Brady. I really don't. A lot of people think that I have some kind of hatred for Brady because as a 49ers fan, maybe I'm obligated to defend Joe Montana to the ends of the earth. Steve Young was my favorite quarterback of all time. I didn't even hardly get to see Montana play. But I know he is, legendary. He's one of the greatest of all time. Greatest of his generation, which those of you that may have saw my tweet know that I'm arguing that we stop with the one above all argument and just give each generation their due. Joe Montana, greatest of his generation. Brett Favre, probably the greatest of his. Tom Brady is now the greatest of his. It's tough for me to say that, though, knowing that Aaron Rodgers is still lingering out there. But the thing with Brady, though, is that, one, I don't like how much controversy that him and the Patriots have been surrounded with, because you never had that back with any of these other quarterbacks. I mean, Brett Favre sent dick pics, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. End of controversy. Or the unretirement thing. When it comes to the Patriots, it's not anything like that you're going to read in a tabloid. It's legitimate, like, did they break the rules stuff? And that's what I have a problem with. I think Tom Brady, like Gronk, is a very likable person. When he does his post-game press conferences and appearances, he always gives credit to his team. He speaks humbly. I don't know if he's actually humble or not, but he's somebody that you have a hard time hating and getting mad at. You only hate him or don't like him because he's not your quarterback, right? But I just don't like calling him the GOAT because I honestly don't believe that he is. I don't like Belichick. I will go ahead and go on record saying that I don't think that there's a bigger prick out there than Bill Belichick. They just won the AFC Championship. They're up on the podium. Fans are going nuts. They're about to go to their 10th Super Bowl. And Terry Bradshaw hands Bill Belichick the trophy, and it's like hot potato. Like, he can't pass that thing off fast enough. And I'm looking at it, and I'm watching this unfold, and I'm like, what a prick. Like, it's just, do you not know what happiness is? Like, do you not experience joy in your life? I mean, you've got 2 weeks, okay, until the big one. Enjoy it a little. That's all I'm asking. It's like Sam Smith, the singer, songwriter, artist. I mean, does he know? Does he know happiness? I don't know if he knows happiness. I really don't. Every song he writes is about heartbreak and heartache. So, for me, it's simply something that I think Tom Brady is likable. I don't think he's the GOAT. I don't like Bill Belichick. And my problem with the Patriots is that it's not somebody sending dick pics. It's not somebody retiring, not retiring, or whether or not they're kneeling for the anthem. It's that they've been accused of cheating. Okay, that's my problem. And tomorrow night we'll probably have Nick Hague on here. He loves a good moment to gloat and I told you so moment, so we'll have him on, as well as hopefully Farouk, who's a big Eagles fan, so that'll be fun to have those two guys on there. Coming up in a little bit, my conversation with the ladies of Hell's Bells, who rocked the Knitting Factory this last Friday night with Elephant Gun Riot. Great conversation with them. They are such talented and funny, friendly girls. They really are. Women, strong women. No better time to be a woman than right now in 2018, and we talked about that. In other news, because, I mean, the Super Bowl stage is set. There's 2 weeks to talk about it, and really all that we have left to cover in the meantime is who's going where as far as head coaching positions. Tennessee has found their head coach. Former Seahawks offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell has wrapped up his interview in Arizona and is pondering the options, I guess. And let's see here. J.J. Watt announced that he was a finalist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. There's 3 finalists, but I think all signs point to J.J. Watt being the guy that will do it. Patriots are going to wear white jerseys. Seahawks former DC Chris Richard is being hired as the Cowboys passing game coordinator, whatever the hell that means. So, Panthers, they're probably going to lose another head coach. new Cardinals head coach Steve Wilks is expected to hire Carolina linebacker coach Al Holcomb as his defensive coordinator. That's per Adam Schefter. And then, of course, the Giants are now officially receiving Pat Shurmur as their head coach because the Vikings have been eliminated from the postseason. We've got the Pro Bowl coming up this week, the Royal Rumble. Raw 25 was last night, and, man, what... I'm having a hard time gathering my thoughts and feelings about this because, as I've mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of football, but I don't like to be a critic of it. I like to do my best to try to sit back and enjoy it. I love wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan, but I can admit I am a wrestling critic. I find myself being so critical of it because I have a certain expectation for how I feel things should go, especially when you know it's scripted. It's like, The Last Jedi, okay? Perfect example. Perfect, timely example. You're a Star Wars fan. You've seen all 7 of them, right? And your thoughts about the prequels are whatever, but you've camped out for every one of them that you've been alive to see. And you were in there, you were dressed up, you were fanboying out. You know kind of how the stories go because they're based on books, and you know how you would like to kind of see them play out. And even knowing how you want them to play out, you're just excited to see how it plays out. So with wrestling, because it's predetermined and semi-scripted and a little choreographed, I have certain expectations for how I like to see things play out. That doesn't mean that it's like, I don't like a good surprise. It's just that there's too many bad surprises. So we had Raw 25 last night, 25th anniversary of Raw. And here we are. We've hyped this thing up for months. And I've always said that the more that you hype something up, the harder it is to live up to its expectations. It really is. That's why I believed Guardians of the Galaxy did so good as a movie as opposed to Spider-Man, because so many people knew Spider-Man, they had expectations. That's why you've seen like 3 different adaptations of it. And with Guardians of the Galaxy, it was a lesser-known comic book and series, so you didn't have any expectations because you didn't even know that this was a thing. And so you watch it and you're blown away by it and you're like, yeah, that was awesome. So for me, here we have Raw 25, and it starts off great. The McMahons, Vince McMahon, Stone Cold comes out, a couple of stunners. Okay, things are off to a great start. They're doing this dual venue thing where they're at the Barclays Center in the Manhattan Center, where the first Raw was 25 years ago. At the Manhattan Center, it looks like they've got the better end of the deal because they've got JR and the King doing commentary, and it's a smaller, more intimate venue. But then, like an hour and a half goes by, and nothing has happened at the Manhattan Center yet. And then all of a sudden, you get The Undertaker who comes out and gives a speech. And then you're right back at the Barclays Center. You've got like Titus O'Neil and Titus Worldwide going up against Heath Slater and Rhino. Yeah, the Dudley Boys made a cameo, but are you serious right now? And still no action over at the Manhattan Center. You've got this backstage poker game going on where they just keep adding in legends for appearances. I would have liked to have seen a women's video package as far as all the women that have, attributed so much to the success of that division. They brought out a few of the legends, Kelly Kelly, Trish Stratus, Jacqueline. No Lita, though. I was a little surprised. There was no Edge. He couldn't make it. There was no Rock. Christian was there. He hosted the Peep Show with Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. I thought that segment was well done. Chris Jericho made an appearance backstage with Elias. There was just, like I tweeted out earlier, how do you fit 25 years into 3 hours? Well, they tried their damnedest, but people at the Manhattan Center, with the exception of seeing DX, they were pissed. And rightfully so. I mean, I don't know how you don't arrange this where you're going to toggle back, like just alternate every other match, every other segment, back and forth. It seems like that's the logical thing, but nothing in WWE is ever logical. So we're in the home stretch for the Royal Rumble. There will be a round table that I will do Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, I'll record that, and it'll probably be up Friday. We're going to have a few special guests. We're going to break down the Rumble, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So with that, then, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. SmackDown Live is tonight. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then, of course, the round table. Super Bowl, the stage is set. Patriots Eagles in Minneapolis. And now we're going to listen to my conversation with the ladies of Hell's Bells right after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw. That Scott hates it.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns, 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten.
You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? You know, just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how does a puddle right outside your house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ciccarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellect, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial, or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, so I am here post-concert with the lovely ladies of Hell's Bells. I feel like lovely ladies is a weird term because you guys are just badass. I mean...
We're a bunch of tomboys, huh?
You very much are. And this is my first post-show interview because when I interview musicians or bands, it's usually before they go on set. So I'm still kind of coming down from your guys' performance, but you guys are up here in the green room hanging out, so... Spokane's become kind of an annual stop for you guys, and you know what keeps you coming back?
People keep coming to see us, and that's fun. It's fun. It's fun when they come.
That crowd was awesome tonight.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I know that Spokane is definitely happy to have you because they get a packed house every time. And when your guys' tour starts, is it pretty much pre-planned that you guys are going to do the same stops every year, or do you add a show, take away a show, anything like that?
I think it just depends on what the attendance is the year before. If it's good, we go back. If it's not, we don't. Right? Is it wrong to be so honest?
I mean, places like Spokane that we've been coming to for so many years. If we have one show that numbers have dropped, we'll still probably come back. If it continues to, then, you know, it's hard to... We have... All our members live in different states, so it costs quite a bit for us to fly out, and meet up and play a show, so the numbers definitely have to be there. But I mean, like tonight was just amazing.
It was amazing.
It was.
And we don't tour like a normal band tours, like like when a band puts out an album and then they go on a tour and they play every night and blah blah blah. Like we don't get that opportunity. We have to make the weekends work.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask how does one get into being in a tribute band, and not just a tribute band, but I mean, you guys are kind of that next tier where you're in high demand and people want to see you when you guys come into town. They mark their calendars. Like, how does that even start?
It was when Hell's Bells formed and I was not in it, it was a big deal right away. I mean, it was a big fucking deal, and it's always been, luckily, something that people
tribute bands when we started were more of a novelty.
Yeah.
Back there wasn't hardly any.
I didn't even know
when we started.
Yeah, when I tried out, I didn't know what we were doing. I was like, should I learn any solos? And Om's like, I think you should learn a solo. But I didn't know that we were gonna dress up like them. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, you didn't see any tribute bands.
I mean, there
were some, but
I saw that Led Zeppelin
since
one.
Exploded.
Yeah,
there's so many out there now,
but I saw that there was that Led Zeppelin one, but it never clicked with me that was what we were doing. I don't.
Yeah. So, yeah, it did. It took off right away. Yeah, it's real big.
And as I understand it, you guys have actually met ACDC and sort of got like their blessing. Like, how did that go about?
I just meeting and talking with them, and the first time we met them, we left them a VHS tape of us, and they watched it on their tour bus, and they were impressed, very impressed. So, yeah, and then the whole quote from Angus in Blender magazine.
That was a big trophy for us.
Yeah.
Was that the one where he said that you kind of embodied his character or his persona out there, like, almost perfectly?
He said that his favorite tribute band was a tribute band from the U.S. called Hell's Bells. Something like that. It's on our website. So that was a big deal.
What his favorite ACDC tribute band was, and he said there's an all-girl band in America called Hell's Bells.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now, when it came to being in a tribute band and forming this, it was ACDC like the go-to band for all of you? Like, are you all diehards whole lives, or did it kind of have to, well, I'm more Led Zeppelin, but we could do ACDC? And,
ACDC for me. I have older siblings who are all into classic rock, so that's just, by default, it was in my life at a very young age. And, yeah, I've always loved ACDC. Mm-hmm. So when I was asked to be in the band, I was really stoked. I was really happy to be able to do it. I knew it was going to be a blast, and here I am. Like 18 years later, still doing it. So
yeah, it'll be 17 years for me this September.
Gosh, it's crazy.
It's amazing to think about the fact that you guys are all women from different walks of life playing one amazing band. Like, do you guys have like a favorite song to play?
I like playing Shoot to Thrill right now.
Shoot to Thrill is a fun one.
It is fun.
It has all these different places it goes. It's got a great intro.
I like to play Walk All Over You, even though it's one of my favorites. It's hard, but it's hard to pick just one.
For me, it was like childhood memories flashback. You talk about growing up with it. That was my life. Like, I remember riding in the back of my dad's car, going and fetching beers from the refrigerator and things like that. It was just like listening to you guys and watching you up there. It's like you guys are little girls' role models. That girls can be fucking badass or rock out. And you guys take something that is like a revolution of the 70s and early 80s, and you're bringing it to children. I saw toddlers out there tonight.
Yeah, you gotta spread the word.
Shoot to Thrill. Do you guys ever feel like it's overwhelming? Like, that you have to be a certain way with this?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you guys ever try to,
But I have to just kind of, there's always some kind of you're not moving enough, you're not doing this enough, and I have to be like,
I've
I hear you, but I just have to like
watched concert footage of Angus over the years, and you are a perfect replica of the personality that he puts out on stage. And so, like, a die-hard fan from the time I could walk, and watching you guys is seriously like moving. And it's sappy, but it's also hardcore because I can go back and I can listen to their music and I can see you guys. And I'm listening to them and I can see you and I can say, okay, I can put memories to these songs now. And they're great because they're female empowerment. They're badass girls that are saying, hey, fuck men, let's do this our way. And, you know, it's amazing to be out there to see. And for watching you guys over the years that I've been coming, you know, I didn't even know you guys existed until probably 5 years ago. And then I made it my life's work to be, okay, when are they coming to town? I want to see them again. Awesome. And it's like you guys have also changed kind of your lineup with it, and it's amazing. And I have to say, Amber, your singing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You sound just like Brian Johnson. And when you want to, you are exactly Bon Scott. And I love that about how you do that, is you embody each singer
She does. She gets
so well. And like I said, diehard fan, you make my heart sing every time I watch you. The character, everything. It's
that was
amazing.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up. The all-female portion of it. Was that the original plan, or did that just kind of...
Yeah.
So a bunch of girls get together and say, we're going to rock and kick ass. How long does that conversation take?
How many chicks does it take to put in a light bulb? I think, well, it was the idea of our former Angus lead guitar player, Amy Stolzenbach. She had the idea. And she actually tried to form the band in the 90s. And the players that she had picked had just flaked on her.
She called me.
Oh, wow.
I was one of the first, and I said, nobody can play ACDC but ACDC. I can't do that. She's like, you can. I said, I can't do it.
In the 90s she called you?
And then they started, and I went and saw them play. And they'd been a band for a year, and I went and saw them play, and I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. You were not in the band yet. I was like, God damn it, what have I done? And then, our original singer, she asked again, and I said, I'll do it. But Mandy's right. They were trying,
she tried to form it first, and the players flaked out on her. So she waited a while, and she met our former Bon Brian, and approached her and was like, what would you think about starting an all-female ACDC tribute band? And thought it was an awesome idea. And together those two built the band in Seattle and just kind of handpicked the musicians they wanted. And I think the very first show was even sold out.
It was
It was a really big
deal.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I was going to say that you mentioned, and why we love Spokane so much, is the kids. We don't get to play, shows where there are kids at all the time. And, in fact, we don't get to do it that often unless it's summer and it's festival season. But we've always loved Spokane for that reason, because the kids come out, and I don't know, maybe because some of us are parents, or I don't want to speak for everybody, but I love it when kids come to the shows.
I prefer the all ages ones.
It's so awesome, and Spokane has always been one of my favorites for that reason, and also just because it's Spokane and you guys are awesome, but it's always been one of our favorite places to come.
I remember when I first came to one and I saw, I think she had been like 3 or 4. She had a little ACDC shirt on, and then she had her little Hell's Bells light up horns or whatever. She was the cutest thing ever. And I was like, hold on a second, there's kids here? Like, wait a second. And then of course, you walk through the doors and there's everybody with ranges between 3 to, 15 out there. And it's just incredible that, music impacts so many people in so many ways.
Timeless ACDC is.
It is.
I mean, it's just timeless.
Yeah.
You've mentioned a few member changes, and so obviously, with any project, you're going to face issues like that. One person wants to go and do another thing, or whatever the issue is. I've been in bands, I know how it goes. But when it comes to something like this, is it you put out an ad that says, hey, we have a Malcolm spot open, or an Angus spot, and then you get, applications for it?
No.
Just... ask. You know, you
yes,
kind of
right, yeah.
through the years we've met so many people, so many other female musicians and friends of friends, and we haven't put out any ads. Although, you know, we have searched on the I have searched on the internet for a particular position and emailed people.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised how many
Yeah,
people that when we were looking before we found Sharon, how many people were not interested in doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, really? You don't want to pay your bills playing music but still do your original stuff? I mean, I didn't say that when they said no, but in my mind I'm like,
That's weird.
I was surprised at how many female artists were like, no, I'm not.
And that's kind of a
Don't
cool
you gotta
thing
make
too.
money
is
playing music? Like, what? But I don't say that. It's like I don't want to get somebody involved for the wrong reasons. I want them to be interested because
they have to be.
They like the music.
They have to be a fan.
Yeah.
But when she's talking about finding Sharon, I went back to school a while back, and so we needed to find another Malcolm for a while or for a job share. House Bells has a job share position.
That's crazy.
And then we found Sharon, and she and I split the job of Malcolm. I used to do it full time, and then I stepped back for a little bit. She came in, and now we both just do it.
Which is incredible because neither one of them, they work well together. They're able to divide the gigs up, and nobody's mad. Nobody's like, right?
It's just funny that it's
weird.
My job share partner, Sharon, in rock and roll.
I feel like there's a lot of problems that you guys probably get the opportunity to avoid, not being all guys, because, you know, being in all male bands myself, there's always a lot of ego and testosterone overload.
That's the same.
It can be bad with women too. I mean, women are
the same.
Emotional and you know can tend to be. But I mean, we're all this unit that we have now is we're really close and we genuinely care about each other and we're like sisters and it's family.
Which is important.
And I think that's, you know, it's reasons like that is why we're still able to be doing this after so many years, you know.
And Adrian, you actually, so you're the Angus. You said that you weren't the original one. Did you know what you were getting yourself into when they recruited you?
No. Well, no, I didn't know. And so, yeah, I actually didn't get in the band right away. I had to wait about a year and a half. They wouldn't let me, they decided they didn't want me until about a year and a half. And then I got in and I started out as Malcolm.
Okay, so you guys have done other spots before.
Yeah, so I started out on Malcolm and I did the first tour was like 3 weeks and it was really fun. Even though there were parts about it that weren't fun, but to be able to quit my job at UPS and like make a living playing guitar and being on tour in a band, like I could do anything, man. I can put up with anything.
You've got another project where you do originals. Do you guys as a group have original songs that sound like AC/DC or anything like that?
Yeah.
Strictly just the hits? All right. But what is it about the original songs for you that is sort of, you know, you're in this, but you have that. How do you balance both?
I mean, I have to create, and I love playing music, and it's a dream. I mean, I love songwriting, and I want to make a song that's as good as You Shook Me. I mean, I know that's really hard to do. It's like one of the best songs ever written in rock and roll, right? But,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the dream, right? I mean, that's why I write music. It's because I love songs so much, and they move me so much. I want to do the same thing, and so it's kind of like I have to create, and so I do a couple different bands. And
So are you shotgunning Red Bulls before you go out on stage, or is that just raw energy that you've got every time the music
I wouldn't
hits?
say raw, but I mean, I have a 5-hour energy drink, and but I mean, I don't know. I don't think that.
So I've got one burning question. Is the tattoo real?
That's not a tattoo.
Okay.
Amber draws it.
I just wanted to know because, like, every time I've come, it's been there. And I was like, did she really do that?
It's Sharpie.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. I was going to say, how bad did the tattoo hurt? Because I have a few myself, and I was like, and I'm there. But
I don't think that spot would hurt too bad.
You say that until it happens. I have seen the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, and I absolutely love that movie. Have you guys seen it? You're not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I own it.
So it's a movie about a guy who gets into a tribute band, and there's actually like this almost West Side Story like rivalry between them and another tribute band.
They're dressed the same.
And and why I bring this up is because there's a wrestler who's going to put on a cruise, and as he was advertising it, he's like, "Yeah, I've got the world's best all-female ACDC tribute band added to the lineup," and I was like, "Fuck yeah, House Bells is going to be there." It's like, "Shoot the Thrill," and I was like, who? So is there any kind of like tribute band rivalry like in the real world going on with you guys, or like...
not that I know
not
of.
as far as we know.
I don't know.
It is, we have no idea.
No, I haven't heard of it. Nobody's knocked on the door.
I was just curious. I love that movie. The only pet peeve I have is that he doesn't do the singing himself, which is how they did things back then. But you, as a fan of that movie, is that something that you watch and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what they're going through?
Yeah, I mean, especially when it's like, the pig squeal's right here. No, it's not there. It's not there. Give me that. If you're not going to do it right, then fuck it. That, yeah, I get that. I've been there.
And that was something I wanted to ask you too, is, you know, you guys have the songs, like, I don't know what rehearsrsal is like for you guys, if you even do it anymore.
We don't rehearse.
You don't rehearse? Wow.
It's impossible.
We can't.
Could have fooled me. I mean, just saying how...
Well, we've been playing a long time together.
But do you ever, because, you know, you're playing the part where there's a lot of solos and people can probably sing along to all of Angus's solos, but do you ever, like, kind of put your own spin on it, or do you just say, you know...
Only on the super bluesy ones, but for everything that's... there's just certain ones I know I don't want to play anything different. There's nothing that's going to be better than what's right there. Well, I'm not... You know what I mean? I want to hear... the solo too. Yeah. Unless it's Angus playing it and he decides to play something else, fine. But I mean, I want to hear what's on the recording. Unless it's like super bluesy, and then I like Rosie or Night Prowler, then I hit the highlights. But for the most part, I try to play the solo like the way it was the Angus wrote.
Fair enough. Now, those of you with significant others, is it... What's this like for them on their end? Are they musicians too, or is it like, yeah, my girlfriend, wife rocks harder than yours does? Like, I don't know.
My husband's really extremely supportive.
He's like a tour manager when he comes.
Hey, there you go.
It's like, thank God Mike is here.
Yeah.
Double duty, put him to work. The Super Bowl's coming up in a few weeks.
Who's playing?
Don't know yet. We'll know Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
We don't know. No. But I mean, who's playing halftime?
You don't
know.
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you guys: have you ever been invited to play the halftime of like a Super Bowl party, like in the area?
If we got invited to even play the Seahawks, I would shit.
Yeah.
But apparently, our agents looked into it, and apparently, you have to pay to play.
Wow. Because I've interviewed Mike Herrera of MXPX, yep, and I said,
we're from the same town.
I said, you need to play halftime for a Seahawks game. You're a huge Seahawks fan. I guess apparently if you're not Macklemore, then you don't get to play, which is kind of sad. But
Man, I want to play. I mean, I would love to play in between just even a Seahawks game. But yeah, I think we looked into it, and it's something that you pay to do, or you do it for free. It's like, we can't do that.
Jeff told me, he's like, you guys should they should hire you to play, because they play 3 songs during every football game. They play Hell's Bells when it's third down.
Yep.
And you always hear Thunderstruck,
Yep.
and you always hear For Those. Like, you guys could just go and play those 3 songs all night long.
Awesome. It's third down. I think the only thing we would play is the MP3. and like Judy might get in a
it'd be like a glorified pep band at that point,
right?
You know? Where,
it would be like college football, but we're like
wow. I couldn't even imagine.
I'm going to change my voice.
But I think you guys could get set up in the parking lot and have like a kick-ass tailgate party.
Wouldn't that be good?
I don't see why not. I mean, if they're not going to have you at halftime, at least, go and set up and be like, we're going to do our own stuff.
I would love it. I think that would be so fun.
That's like the one thing I hear every football game is because he watches every game, and every time there's like a break in plays, it's the Hell's Bells bell that's going off, or you hear the intro to Thunderstruck. Yeah, you hear the intro to Thunderstruck. It's like, and then of course it stops. I'm like, really? It's not a song you can just play a little bit of and just stop.
So is there life after your generation of Hell's Bells? Like, how does this work going into the future? Do you guys all decide when independently when you can't do it anymore, or is it going to be like a collective kind of thing?
That's hard to answer.
I don't know. Never thought about it.
The future freaks me out too, but I try to ask
Yeah,
them.
I don't know if back in the day we thought we'd make it this long.
No, I remember. I'm like, this shit's over. I'm trying to say this.
It's got a shelf life, a couple more years, and here we are. And, who knows?
It would be cool to hand it off, it would be cool to have, a day where we hand it off to younger players and have like a whole audition thing, and like, what if it's on TV? And man, that would be cool. Like a whole
I'd watch that show.
Well, Metallica did it when they replaced that. What was it? Their bass player, or yeah, they had like this whole reality series tryout thing, and it was just like they invited anyone and everyone.
VH1, you've got your next show right there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And TV doesn't do music stuff anymore. It's all about teenage pregnancies and stuff. So
Ooh, really?
VH1 is where you gotta go.
So you guys think it's all going to be, like, hey, we've reached a point where we've done this for as long as we can. We should hand it off to the next generation to keep Hell's Bells going?
I don't know. Perfect world. I think that would be. We talked
really
about
cool.
that. It'd be really cool. I mean, there's so many young female musicians coming up that are just.
I mean, there's
phenomenal.
There's so many female musicians right now that are just like playing, that are the same age or not that much younger or around the same age, that are badasses playing everywhere. I mean, just now that I'm on so much social media, I have to be because I'm releasing new music all the time. There's so many good players out there that don't have. I mean, they have their social media, but if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know about them.
Yeah.
But I can think of like several female guitar players that are like, holy fuck, they're fucking good. I mean,
I think it's important for you guys to not only keep going as long as you guys can. I'm not saying call it quits tomorrow, but to have another generation, because there's no better time to be a woman than right now. Like, if you look in the world of pop culture and everything, it's just like women are taking over everything, like in the best way too. So for you guys to have been doing this and continue to do it, I think is a huge thing. So hopefully you guys find a way to, I don't know if it's pass the torch or just keep going, but I'd definitely like to see it. And one of the last questions I had, and I know that it's kind of like a downer question, but it's something that I feel is really important to know what it means for you guys. But ACDC, when a member can no longer perform, or when a member passes away, what does that mean to you guys as far as your playing and your performance? Is it more important than ever, or is it kind of, like we can never be that, but we got to do our best?
Since Malcolm just, you might be a good person to answer that.
Well, it broke my heart because,
yeah,
like Mandy said, I grew up with AC/DC. Malcolm was my first guitar hero, and part of the reason why I didn't think that I could be in this band when I first got asked, because I was like, they're the best band in the world. And so for me, like I said, it broke my heart. I knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming, but it did feel, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Whenever Amber makes that dedication,
yes, I almost makes me cry.
I almost start to cry, and
I cried.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I cried for you.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't feel any differently. I've always felt like I have to do my best. At every show, I always feel like I've disappointed him somehow. But every single show, I feel, and I have been feeling that way since the beginning. I have to do my very best and make AC/DC proud and make Malcolm proud.
Oh, yeah.
So that hasn't really changed.
For me, it just makes it more important than ever. What we're doing is more important than ever.
And that's what I thought that you guys would kind of feel about it, because, Some people will say that, a tribute band is just a cheap replacement for the real thing, but I mean, bands don't live forever, and if there's legitimate tribute bands out there doing the best they can to honor their memory, I mean, go for it. I don't see why not.
Some of our fans have said, I don't know, one of the coolest compliments I think that we've gotten is when fans say, it's so cool. I love ACDC, and it's cool to see them live, but they don't play that song anymore, and you guys play it! So they can see their favorite band, and then they can go see, Hell's Bells do a song that their favorite band doesn't play anymore. I think that's fun. I think that's a kind of a cool thing. Awesome.
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys for making Spokane a regular stop and for the energy that you guys put out there on stage every time. It's been a pleasure for me to come and see you guys every year, and I look forward to it. So don't quit doing what you're doing, but, you guys have stuff that you're going to do, and best of luck to you, Adrian, with, is it a solo project or is it a whole different band?
No, I have a duo. I mean, I do my own band too, but I have a new band with the drummer from Zepparella, which is a Zeppelin tribute band, and she sings and writes the lyrics and does the melodies. We made this album, and it's really good.
It's really cool. It's a
good.
really cool record.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. And,
good.
Yeah, and anyway, I feel like it's some of the best music I've ever been a part of creating. Just happy with it.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. The ladies from Hell's Bells, the Kick-Ass Women. I thank you guys so much for your time. Please come back. I would say soon, but I'm just going to set my calendar for January next year and get ready for it. But have safe travels, and we'll talk to you guys.
Wait, before you go,
yeah?
Who do you like for the Super Bowl?
I want
Who do you
to
not
see...
want?
No, Patriots!
No.
Fuck Tom Brady!
No Patriots. I do have a soft spot for the heartwarming story and the underdog. So I'd like to see. There's 3 teams left that have never won a Super Bowl. So it's like odds are in their favor right now. So Jaguars and Vikings, I think, would be good.
I think that would be my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brady.
Suck it, Brady. Suck it, Brady.
Suck it, Brady.
I just want to see Justin Timberlake in special guest and the national anthem.
Justin Timberlake and special guest Hell's Bells.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, ladies, travel safe. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And once again, that was the Badass Rockers of Hell's Bells. You can go and check them out. They've got a website. They're on Facebook, Hell's Bells. You can follow them on Twitter at Hell's Bells USA, but they are awesome, as you could hear from that. It's such a great time getting to know them and just a little bit behind the scenes and everything that goes into something like that. I mean, tribute bands, they're not cover bands. They are as real a deal as you give them credit for, and give them credit where it's due, and they are due a lot of credit. So if you missed any of tonight's episode or any episode in the past, or you want to go and listen and catch up, or if you're new to listening to the Fan Show, then we've got a few solutions for you. First off, you can subscribe in podcast form if you can't listen live, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. WBLZ Sports, where they've got balls, they do a replay of my show the day after at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Download the app or go to WBLZmedia.com, and they have so many other great shows, football, nonsense, and much, much more. We will be back same Fan Show time, same Fan Show place tomorrow with hopefully 2 guests to discuss more of the Super Bowl, how we're just less than 2 weeks away, and we're going to break this thing down. We're going to have some fun. Thursday, we're going to talk some IFL. The AFL announced today that they have a new team called the Albany Empire. A little salt in the wound there for those of you that understand what I'm getting at with that. But we still don't know if we're going to have an AFL this season. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Your home base for all things football and nonsense, of course, is thefanshow.com. You can listen live there or on Spreaker.com. Follow me on Twitter at FanShowOfficial and like the Facebook page, facebook.com/fanshowofficial. And of course, I'm on Instagram and Snapchat. Both are The Fan Show. Thank you, all of you that have subscribed to the YouTube channel. There's links everywhere. Posted the video of Elephant Gun Riot's cover of Kickstart My Heart. That's got over 100 views in a day, so thank all of you. You guys are awesome. Got some new subscribers as well, so follow, subscribe, like, and stalk, however you want to do it with The Fan Show. I've got the social media platform for you. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.